To Nathaniel. You are right. You have not written to me for a very long time. But nevertheless, I believe that I still retain a place in your mind and thoughts. It is a proof that you are thinking a good deal about me when you are sending off your last letter to Brother Lothair, for instead of directing it to him, you directed it to me. With joy I tore open the envelope and did not perceive the mistake until I read the words, "Oh, my dear, dear Lothair." Now I know I ought not have read any more of the letter, but ought to have given it to my brother. But as you have so often, in innocent raillery, made it sort of a reproach against me that I possess such a calm and, for a woman, cool-headed temperament, that I should be like the woman we read of. If the house was threatening to tumble down, I should stop before hastily fleeing, to smooth down the crumple in the window curtains. I need hardly to tell you that the beginning of your letter quite upset me. I could scarcely breathe. There was a bright mist before my eyes. Oh, my darling Nathaniel, what could this terrible thing be that happened? Separation from you, never to see you again. The thought was like a sharp knife in my heart. I read on and on. Your description of the horrid Coppelius made my flesh creep. I now learned for the first time what a terrible and violent death your good old father died. Brother Lothair, to whom I handed over his property, sought to comfort me, but with little success. The horrid peddler Giuseppe Coppola followed me everywhere, and I am almost ashamed to confess it, but he was able to disturb my sleep, which is usually sound and calm, with all sorts of wonderful dream shapes. But soon, the next day, I saw everything in a different light. Oh, do not be angry with me, my best beloved, if despite your strange presentiment that Coppelius will do you some mischief, Lothair tells you I am in quite good spirits, and just the same as ever. I will frankly confess, it seems to me that all the horrors of which you speak existed only in your own self, and that the real outer world that had but little to do with it. I can quite admit that old Coppelius may have been highly obnoxious to you children, but your real detestation of him arose from the fact that he hated children. Naturally enough, the gruesome Sandman of the old nurse's story was associated in your childish mind with the old Coppelius, who, even though you had not believed in the Sandman, would have been to you a ghostly bugbear, especially dangerous to children. His mysterious labors, along with your father at night-time, were, I dare say, nothing more than secret experiments in alchemy, with which your mother could not have been over-well pleased, owing to large sums of money that most likely were thrown away upon them. And besides, your father, his mind full of deceptive striving after higher knowledge, may probably have been rather indifferent to his family, as so often happens in the case of such experiments. So also it is equally probable that your father brought about his death by his own imprudence, and that Coppelius is not to blame for it. I must tell you that yesterday I asked our experienced neighbor, the chemist, whether in an experiment of this kind an explosion could take place which would have momentarily fatal effect. He said, "Oh, certainly," and described to me in his prolix and circumstantial way how it could be occasioned, mentioning at the same time so many strange and funny words that I could not remember them all. Now I know you will be angry at your Clara, and will say, of the mysterious which often clasps man in the invisible arm, there's not a ray can find its way into her cold heart. She sees only the varied surface of things of the world, and like the little child is pleased with the golden glittering fruit, at the kernel of which lies the fatal poison. Oh, my beloved Nathaniel, do you believe, then, that the intuitive prescience of dark power working within us to our own ruin cannot exist also in the minds which are cheerful, natural, free from care? But please forgive me that I, a simple girl, presume in any way to indicate to you what I really think of such an inward strife. After all, I should not find the proper words, and you would only laugh at me, not because my thoughts were stupid, but because I was so foolish as to attempt to tell them to you. If there is a dark and hostile power which traitorously fixes a thread in our heart in order that, laying hold of it, and drawing us by means of it along a dangerous road to ruin, which otherwise we should not have trod, if I say there is such a power, it must assume within us a form like ourselves, nay, it must be ourselves, for only that way can we believe in it, and only so understood do we yield to it, so far that it is able to accomplish its secret purpose. So long as we have sufficient firmness, fortified by cheerfulness, always to acknowledge foreign hostile influences for what they really are, while we quietly pursue the path pointed out to us both by inclination and calling, then this mysterious power perishes in its futile struggles to attain the form which is to be the reflected images of ourselves. It is also certain, Lothair adds, that if we have at once voluntarily given ourselves up to the dark physical power, it often reproduces within us strange forms which the outer world throws in our way, so that thus it is we ourselves who engender within ourselves the spirit by which some remarkable delusion we imagine to speak in that outer form. It is the phantom of our own self whose intimate relationship with, and whose powerful influence upon our soul either plunges us into hell or elevates us to heaven. Thus you will see, my beloved Nathaniel, that I and brother Lothair have talked over the subject of dark powers and forces well, and now after I have written down the principal results of our discussion with some difficulty, they seem to me to contain many really profound thoughts. Lothair's last words, however, I don't quite understand. I only dimly guess what he means, and yet I cannot help thinking it was all very true. I beg you, dear, strive to forget the ugly lawyer, Coppelius, as well as the peddler Giuseppe Coppola. Try and convince yourself that these foreign influences can have no power over you, that it is only belief in their hostile power which can in reality make them dangerous to you. If every line of your letter did not betray the violent excitement of your mind, and if I did not sympathize with your condition from the bottom of my heart, I could in truth jest about the lawyer Sandman and the peddler Coppelius. I have resolved to appear to you as your guardian angel if that ugly man Coppola should dare to take it into his head to bother you in your dreams, and drive him away with a good hearty laugh. I'm not afraid of him and his nasty hands. Not the least little bit. I won't let him either, as a lawyer, spoil any dainty tidbit I've taken, or as the Sandman rob me of my eyes. My darling, darling Nathaniel, eternally yours.
Nathaniel to Lothair. I am very sorry that Clara opened and read my last letter to you. Of course, the mistake is to be attributed to my own absence of mind. She has written me a very deep, philosophical letter, proving conclusively that Coppelius and Coppola can only exist in my mind, and are phantoms of my own self, which will at once be dissipated as soon as I look at them in that light. In very truth, one can hardly believe that the mind which so often sparkles in those bright, beautifully smiling, childlike eyes of hers, like a sweet, lovely dream, could draw such subtle and scholastic distinctions. She also mentions your name. You have been talking about me. I suppose you have been giving her lectures, since she shifts and refines everything so acutely. But enough of this. I must now tell you it is most certain that Giuseppe Coppola is not Coppelius. I am attending the lectures of our recent appointed professor of physics, who, like the distinguished naturalist, is called Spallanzani, and is of Italian origin. He has known Coppola for many years, and it is also easy to tell from Coppola's accent that he is really a Piedmontese. Coppelius is a German, though no honest German, I fancy. Nevertheless, I am not quite satisfied. You and Clara will perhaps take me for a gloomy dreamer, but in no way can I get rid of the impression which Coppelius's cursed face made upon me. I am glad to learn from Spallanzani that he has left town. The professor, Spallanzani, is a very queer fish. He is a little fat man with prominent cheekbones, thin nose, projecting lips, and small piercing eyes. You cannot get a better picture of him than by turning over one of the Berlin pocket almanacs and looking at Cagliostro's portrait engraved by Chodawiecki, Spallanzani looks just like him. Once lately, as I went up the steps to his house, I perceived that beside the curtain, which generally covered a glass door, there was a small chink. What it was that excited my curiosity I cannot explain, but I looked through. In the room I saw a female, tall, very slender, but of perfect proportions and splendidly dressed, sitting at a table, on which she had placed both of her arms, her hands being folded together. She sat opposite the door, so that I could easily see her angelically beautiful face. She did not appear to notice me, and there was moreover a strangely fixed look about her eyes. I might almost say they appeared as if they had no power of vision. I thought she was sleeping with her eyes open. I felt quite uncomfortable, and so I slipped away quietly into the professor's lecture room, which was close at hand. Afterwards, I learned that the figure which I had seen was Spallanzani's daughter, Olympia, whom he keeps locked up in the most wicked and unaccountable ways. No man is ever allowed to come near her. Perhaps, however, there is something peculiar about her after all. Perhaps she's an idiot or something of that sort. But why am I telling you all of this? I could tell you it all better and in more detail when I see you. For in a fortnight I shall be among you. I must see my dear sweet angel, my Clara, again. Then the little bit of ill temper, which I must confess, took possession of me after her fearfully sensible letter, will be blown away, and that is the reason why I am not writing to her as well today. With all best wishes.